Thank you everyone for attending today's live webcast, Best Practice in Bringing Your Application to the Cloud. My name is Kim Harrison, and I am the Market Development Manager here at Concerto Cloud Services, and I will be your moderator for today. Presenting on today's live webcast will be Rochelle Coleman, Director of Marketing and Partner Strategy at Concerto Cloud Services. And I'd also like to welcome a special guest, Tony Nessler, Channel Sales Manager at Concerto Cloud Services. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. After the presentation, we'll have a brief Q&A period. To submit a question, click on the question button and type your question. We will try and answer as many questions as possible. However, if we don't get to them all, we'll happily respond to you after the webcast. For those of you interested in today's presentation, it will be made available to you via On Demand and will be posted on the Concerto Keep Calm webcast landing page for future viewing and sharing. Lastly, please provide feedback. Your feedback is valuable, and at the end of today's webcast, you have the opportunity to share it via email, or we'll ask you to complete the survey. With that, let's get started. Rochelle, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you for those who have joined, and specifically those who have been with us from the start of the series. We are trying to make these efficient and practical and real world as possible, and so thank you for staying with us through these. What we're going to cover off today is an exciting topic because really cloud is all about the application, and what we're going to try and focus the topic on today is around independent software vendors, folks like yourselves who are partners focused on applications in specific verticals, lines of business, and we're going to spend some time thinking about what the experts are saying and really who are those out there who are winning that race to the cloud. We're going to share some successes that we're seeing in the cloud. We have lots of ISVs who are currently hosting their full service application in our cloud, and how they're frankly moving forward and revolutionizing their vertical industry or their customer base. Then we're going to spend less than 1 minute explaining who we are as a company, and then we will take any Q&A that you have at the very end. So we're going to keep this to a nice, succinct 30 minutes. So let's go right into kind of what the industry says for itself, and you can read some of these significant stats. But if we go back 4 years to 2012, at the height of the beginnings of what is the cloud, what is this thing, is it secure, is it compliant, we had a lot of people doing it themselves. Creation of a data center, potentially being a SaaS provider, up to 60% actually. And what they're saying, and what is IDC saying, is that by 2020, that number will be less than 50%. So 10 to 15% of ISVs globally will automatically begin to live in the cloud. And what we do understand is that in short 3 years from now, just kind of a 36-month time frame, more than 30% of the 100 largest application providers will complete their transition from, being a cloud first, so they may have an on-prem that they're selling religiously now, and maybe 2 sales forces or 2 compensation plans or a transition compensation plan, all the way to that cloud only, meaning that customers aren't even going to be in a position where they're going to be able to purchase an on-prem version, and or they won't be supported for a number of years, or they won't have the meaningful add-ons and enhancements and innovation in the product because it will be in a cloud-only environment. We also know by 2020, software as a service in general, so traditional software deployments in the cloud, will represent over 25% of all cloud deployments and cloud workloads. People don't come to the cloud because they want to play around with racks and spaces and storage and electricity and power. They want their application to run properly. They want mission-critical security and compliance. They want to know that they have an SLA that they can rely on, and then they know that whether they're a smallest company focused on medical systems or the largest company focused on manufacturing parts, that it's going to work for them. It's very, very simple. So yourself as an ISV, as a software producing company, you just have a simple, puzzle to solve. How are you going to get cloud ready, get yourself in the cloud, and have it work for your customers? We also know, and this is still feels off into the future for me, but it's happening very rapidly, and that's the Internet of Things kind of mass displacement of other types of applications that's happening. So, we used to say 5-6 years ago, what's your mobile strategy? Well, in certain areas we're saying, what's your fridge strategy? What's your car strategy? What's your vacuum strategy? I mean, these are, revolutionizing how technology is going to be in the cloud moving forward, and these are things that we focus on every day. So even Cloud Tech says, that you can read this quote for yourself, but what the SaaS model does is it creates a great opportunity for both yourself as an independent software vendor and your respective customers. It's not just about low cost, but it does provide you that low cost of entry and low cost software. It allows you to never have to think about patching and versioning and how you're going to deploy. I mean, people have made a living on deploying new versions of software for the last 40 years, whether it's in the mainframe environment, in the PC environment, and now moving to the cloud environment. Cloud allows you to take that process and make it highly efficient and ensure that your customers are getting the highest innovation in your technology, and frankly, leave yourself to do your own business and focus on your own core competencies. So what do we think about when we are a cloud provider offering this type of functionality to software providers? We're on the other side. We're not getting up every day and thinking about what healthcare innovation needs to go into an application, but we're sure as heck trying to make sure that we have all of the pieces to make sure that when that innovation makes its way to the application, that it runs effectively, and that we can do some development operations on it, and we can help and support an ISV in any patching and delivery to their customers as that happens. And so if you're looking for that type of partner, you're looking for these 5 really important things. Security is a given, and I would say it's table stakes at this point, but do a checkpoint and make sure that the SLA is there for that security, the 24/7 monitoring is there, your transparency into the environment is there. Being in a best-of-class data center security environment for sure is bar none. I would say that for the majority of cloud providers out there, you're looking at some very strong data centers, from high-performing data centers, whether you're public, private, or hybrid, but make sure you've done your homework. That SLA is key. I mean, if you are manufacturing, retail, healthcare, even professional services, you pick an industry, you tell someone they're going to be down for hours to days in a year, which, by the way, is only around a 99% SLA. A 99% SLA has you down for days, whereas you want to look for an SLA that is down for, you could, at the lower end, hours, or a cloud provider such as ourselves who is actually down for minutes in a year. And so if you can look at, the 2 to 10 to 20 minutes in a year, that is a much easier value prop for you to explain to your customers versus, days and days at a time. Response time. So, not all cloud providers are created equal when it comes to response time. Many are email-based. Does your cloud provider have a designated and dedicated service delivery manager? You're one throat to choke that you can move forward every single time you have an incident, when you have something great to say, when you have a question, all of the things that you want to talk about with this long-term cloud provider that's going to be in your world every single day. And, of course, scalability. I'll use retail as an example. We have a massive retail corporation that is part of our cloud environment, a very high enterprise retail experience. They have to burst out for the upcoming Thanksgiving and holiday season. They want to be able to quickly scale up and provision and deprovision users as required, and make sure that their e-commerce environment is truly running properly. So these are these 5 things that, if you're going to go into an evaluation mode of what to think of when you're thinking about a partner as an ISV or a software provider, you want to take a look at these. Some more that are focused more on the experience. So those are like the base level infrastructure type scenarios, but look for the managed services piece. So is there very transparent billing? If you want to go to a public cloud and kind of try your luck in the roulette wheel of consumption modeling. As you grow your business, you could quickly have a very hefty bill. You may not actually know what your bill is 1 month to the next. If you put that even public environment into a fully managed experience, or go to a cloud provider that can manage both your public, private, and hybrid environments, you are not going to have a surprise. You're going to get that one bill. It's not going to be a nickel and dime experience. You're going to have predictable billing, which is really the promise of cloud, for you to really have that operational line item on your P&L that works. So really effectively evaluate that. How much integration and API functionality do you have? Do you have a cloud provider that's willing to go above and beyond and create APIs and models that allow your system? Let's say you're a ServiceNow customer. Let's say you have a certain ERP that you want to integrate and make sure that you have transparency and reporting to the cloud provider systems and monitoring. You want to be with a cloud provider that's willing to do that for you. Third, operational excellence. That's really core to the business of any cloud provider. Are they rapid in both deployments, in response rate? And finally, do they have strong services that wrap around just cloud? To be honest, if you're going to go rent space at a data center, you can absolutely do a real estate deal for cloud. That will entail you taking on everything else above that. But if you're truly looking for a fully managed services environment where you can take that burden off your own IT and have them focus on what you do best, then you want to look for that best-in-class offering. So in terms of a move to the cloud, it's really about powering that application. So many cloud providers will talk to you about the bells and whistles of, you know, how pretty their data center looks or how many people they have to support you, which is good. You got to look deeper and figure out what types of people are supporting you. So, you know, do they have to third-party partner out to have any application experience? Did they come from the world of applications? Did they start the conversation with applications? Do they get an understanding of what your business is about? If they're not making much of an effort to understand that you need that test dev environment and that you need coordinated support as you evolve your application, and you may need to channel build with, you know, VARs potentially who want to sell and resell your offering, and you want integration to third-party, you know, solutions like CRM or Office 365. If they don't proactively come with that conversation to the table, it's going to be a hard upward climb on them understanding what it means to be an application provider. In general, most cloud providers have come from the technology migration, deployment end of things. They've been on billable benches. They've transitioned their, you know, their business into a cloud from coming from a very traditional project-based IT function. You want to look for cloud providers who come from the application experience. They could be an ISV themselves. They understand so vividly and deeply what it means to be an application provider. So like I said, you have to have a customer of yours come with options. They may be dipping their toes. As I said at the beginning, you know, you might be a partner right now that has a two-prong approach where you have an on-prem application and you also are in a cloud-first environment where you'd rather sell cloud, but you're still not giving up the farm on your bread and butter. You want to bring these people along and you want to ensure that each customer has the ability to fulfill their unique needs. So whether you want to even test them with some, you know, public test dev environments, you can come to a fully managed cloud provider and have someone manage that for you, such as ourselves and others in the market. You can give them that right availability, cost, and security matrix to give them what they need, and you can do it iteratively with them. I mean, you're not asking your customers to give up the whole on-prem farm immediately, especially for those that are, you know, conscious and a bit wary. You want to bring them on this journey, and you need a cloud provider to assist you with that, and all the advisory services that come with doing that type of scenario and giving customers options. So in terms of that customer care, it's not just about servicing customers every single day. We have lots of ISVs in our midst where we are really the triage back end. So the customer at the end of the day is yours. We also have ISVs in our midst that really just want to give up the cloud business. They want to focus on servicing and licensing and ensuring that their product keeps getting better and better in a very competitive market. And they have the backing of a company like Concerto to give them all the support and the customer care services that they want. And so some of the things you want to make sure are things like, do they have a test demo environment for each of your customers to be able to try your cloud application out in their sandbox? Does their criticality matrix match what you need? So what are you saying? What is your SLA with your customers? And is your cloud organization delivering on the back end of that SLA? Are they always on? So are they assuming with their SLA the flexibility of the fact that we are always on, and that is a mantra and a commitment that they make to their customers. We did some recent research, in terms of what experience prior to partnering with us and the challenges that our cloud partners, they were having with their cloud partners prior to partnering with us. And it was all down to a trusted advisor. And at the end of the day, you're not coming in to do one project and having the opportunity to say, you know what, I don't want to work with this partner anymore. You're making a long-term commitment, and you want to make sure that you are aligned and like-minded and that you can trust each other. So with that, I'm going to give the mic back to Kim so she can make an introduction.
Perfect. Thanks, Rochelle. That was very valuable for our ISV, so thanks for doing that. I'm going to pass it over now to Tony to share with you some ISV partnership success stories. So Tony, take it away.
Thanks, Kim. Certainly appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day to join us. I'm excited to share a few of our success stories, and their stories are probably a lot like yours as you're listening on the line. The first one is Singh Kham, and I would put them up there as a model partner, a partner in every sense of the word. From their standpoint, Singh Kham, they knew they needed a cloud offering to compete in the market, yet customers were asking for it and they could not deliver it, yet their competition was already there. So in essence, they were a little bit behind the game and needed to provide these types of solutions for their customers to be able to compete in their market. They turned to Concerto. It's very simple. They wanted to provide the expertise but didn't want to acquire the expertise. They didn't have them in-house, and they knew it was a large expense and a large investment for them to get those expertise, so they partnered with us in advance. The partnership so far has been outstanding. It allows Singh Kham to focus on development of their new software solutions, a new one coming to market very soon. Most of that will be cloud solutions for their customers, and Concerto is there behind the scenes as their operations for the cloud. We have regular meetings between the two of us. Our operations team is an extension with our engineering team, and our sales and marketing efforts together are driving new revenues and new customers for Singh Kham. Singh Kham, by the way, is a worldwide customer and partner of ours, and as I'm sure you know, and if you did not, Concerto can also offer worldwide services. As a matter of fact, we have a customer now that we're implementing in Europe, and we will shortly be working with that same customer to provide cloud services in the Asia-Pac region. So wonderful, wonderful success story. Singh Kham focuses on their core business, and we are the extension of their team as their cloud provider and cloud partner. Rochelle, can you flip to the next slide?
Sure.
Our second story is about vertical solutions. Concerto, because of our ability to provide fully managed mission-critical application cloud services, really was what vertical solutions was looking for. They had the opportunity and tried to go it alone, creating their own cloud services, but they quickly realized that within a public offering that they simply could not get their mission-critical application consistently to be up for the customers that they were servicing on a regular basis. As you can see from Ronnie's quote, our ability to deliver service on the mission-critical apps, and in particular Microsoft and in addition Cisco, allowed VSI's business to reach a state of calm. Those were his words to me, and he put that into his quote there. Really a calming influence for him to be able to go out and sell to his customers, and knowing that Concerto was there behind the scenes. Rochelle, if you can move to the third slide, I'd like to share the third story.
There you go.
Perfect. This particular customer is white labeled. They provide a mission-critical application in the content management space. So anything that has a mark on a piece of paper that needs to be stored, as you can imagine, tons and tons and millions of records, hospitals, universities, you name it, that is what this partner provides. They accidentally entered into the cloud business several years ago when a customer said they didn't want to host it on site. It spiraled from there, and today, actually as of 18 months ago, they had hundreds and hundreds of servers managing different customers, tons of expense within resources that were not cloud experts, and finally they said this just is not working for us. We worked together on a proof of concept for a particular customer, which involved credit card data, PCI, which is one of our strengths, and we actually moved that customer as our first customer together into Concerto. That was roughly 18 months ago. Fast forward, we are now moving all of their existing customers, as well as any new customers, into the Concerto cloud. And similar to Singh Kham, we are an extension of their cloud services team at this ISV provider. Rochelle, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks, Tony. So as Tony kind of summarized just 3 of many examples, you know, we've got some key drivers that are revolutionizing this world of ISVs and software vendors in the cloud. And we, you know, we continue to want to be self-critical around why partners are choosing Concerto, what we can do to make sure that they continue down their customer journey and continue to be happy with us and their cloud-ready business. And so you can see what some of the top drivers that led them to partner, and I would say not just with Concerto, but why were they on the search for a cloud partner? Every company gets up every day deciding and determining and making their own decision whether they want to build something or whether they want to partner for it. And we've had some companies come to us after trying to build it, and you can see some of the reasons why today people are partnering for getting their applications into the cloud. Overwhelmingly, the #1 reason is that trusted advisor to be there to meet their customer cloud needs. But you can see some others, you know, predictable billing, obviously best-in-class technical support, security, and just, you know, we've been told that our approach to premium coming standard is more of a non-nickel and diming or trying to, you know, not package up things properly. And, you know, even more so, our intention is to make you successful. As an ISV, you are having the conversations with your customer about that specific vertical industry line of business. We are there to support and provide that expertise that one layer down. And so you can see why partners do recommend ourselves and other cloud providers out there. You know, they like being powered by that cloud provider. They enjoy the experience of knowing that we generally are the, you know, guys and girls to come to for mission critical applications. You know, we have a chief compliance officer and a department focused on compliancy because, you know, compliancy doesn't stop at the at the infrastructure level. It needs to go all the way through and into the application. So you can see the different reasons why people do choose to partner. So, these are a few things that we would recommend looking at in terms of valuation. I'm not going to read through all of these. I've covered some of them, whether it's the advisory services, all of the security, compliancy logos that a cloud provider has, what other managed services do they have, what other clouds do they have, do they focus on specific verticals. These are all things that you can decide and decipher in your own evaluation of how their expertise fares for your business. In terms of a Concerto at a glance, we are a fully managed cloud service provider. We take a very application-centric approach to all the workloads that make their way into our cloud. We do have integrated hybrid capabilities, so when we say that, we have customers today that we manage just their AWS workloads. We have customers today where we've taken over their Azure and they've put their mission-critical workloads in our virtual private cloud, and they've placed their less mission-critical into their Azure cloud. They get one single bill, and they still have full administrative rights into those public clouds, but they have our support, and they can take their finger off that business knowing that we've got it. I've talked about our uptime. We are known for mission-critical workloads, and we have moved year over year from being in part of the Talking Cloud top 100 cloud providers globally. We're now part of the top 20 list year over year. So what can you do in terms of next steps? And these next steps are really about you and your evaluation in the market. You're the folks that have to sit down and go, what is our cloud strategy? If you're in the middle of building that cloud strategy, how can this help you? I would say certainly make your evaluation beyond a website, beyond the odd phone call, beyond a single presentation. Again, I'll remind you that a cloud experience and partnership is a long-term one. It's not an in and out, they're coming into your house and doing one thing and coming out. You never have to see them again. No, they're coming into your house and they're going to live in it for a while. So you need to make sure that you guys can live in the same place. Gain that executive buy-in for the choice that you make, and just focus on that customer care piece, because at the end of the day, you need to be cared for in the same way that you care for your customers today. In terms of engagement with us, if you choose to, we'd love your opinion through the survey that's listed here. We do have an upcoming webcast that's focused on financial modeling. How would you financial model getting ready for a cloud business? And of course, at all times, you can contact us directly, either Tony, who really is our software expert when it comes to software application partners, so he focuses primarily on those that are building applications in our cloud. And again, of course, you can always connect with me or the extended team at partner@concertocloud.com. So with that, I will pull it back to Kim to see if there's any questions.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rochelle. That was wonderful. So just a little reminder, we're going to open it up for questions now. I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a question, to submit it via the question button, and I will give you a moment, just a few minutes now, if you'd like to go ahead and type in your questions, and so we'll be right back with you. All right. It looks like we have one that's come in. Okay, so what advice would you give to an ISV and how they get started? So what advice would you give to us as an ISV on how to get started?
So I think in terms of the very first step, it actually is an internal step. So it's going to be a very convoluted process. And the analogy I make on that is going and buying a house. We can all get up tomorrow and go to a bunch of open houses and look at what we like and look at what pros and cons of one house to another. But if you don't have your ducks in a row and your checklist of what you're looking for, and you make a very clear evaluation, you're either going to get caught with a house that's too expensive because you bought because it was very pretty. You're going to get caught with a slippery slope to budget land because you haven't done enough investigation on the roof or the leaks or the basement. And I'm Canadian, we have basements, so, or bonus rooms, whatever you want to call it. And so the analogy I make on that is you wouldn't go out without getting your ducks in a row. You'd get your financing in place, you get which is your financial modeling. You know exactly what margin you need to have that conversation with the cloud provider. You know the type of relationship that you want to have with that provider. We have partners that come to us and say, we just want to be a referral. We just want to take our 10, 15, 20 points from you. We don't want to be the cloud experts. These people are not in our corner, but we want them taken care of properly. So we're going to be a referral partner. Some partners choose to be powered by. They want to go to market with us. They want our logo beside their logo, and they want to be, you know, bigger than the greater good and the two of us coming together. And some want to be private label. They want to really own that customer relationship fully, and they want to really have this cloud be their cloud in the eye of the customer. And so be clear on what model you want to do, or at least the opportunity to have that discussion. And then finally, give it a try. So, you know, my recommendation on that would be just, you know, go to a POC experience. Make it a quick and efficient one. In a cloud scenario, you should be able to do a cloud workload assessment within 30 days. You should be able to take some test dev and some production workloads that sit in your own environment, do a performance test, and make sure that your application works well, that it's humming along. So those 3 or 4 steps you take to get your ducks in a row.
Perfect. And we have another question. We are a global ISV. Does that mean we have to find a global cloud provider? Rochelle, did you hear that?
That's a very good question, and I think Tony mentioned.
Perfect.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now. Thanks.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. So Tony mentioned with Singh Kham that that we are in a position where we have, you know, several global partners. The key is really understanding what we mean by global. So we have data centers. We have a data center over in Western Europe, so we are able to service countries over there. We do have data residency scenarios where people would prefer to have their data housed in certain countries. But really you have to think about what layer and level down do you need that globalization to take place. Where is the bulk of your business happening, and what is your evaluation? Really, I mean, to be, with all due respect, all cloud providers should be global. There's really no reason in the world of cloud to not have a global footprint. And you should have a cloud provider who is, you know, compelled and passionate enough to want to work with you on that global footprint moving forward, because there's probably some things you haven't sorted out either. I mean, you know, you've got to think of pricing and consumption model type compensation, those types of things. So I would arguably say it should be an open conversation. Global means things to different people, but certainly you want to pick a cloud provider who has existing global customers and partners with them today.
Perfect. Thanks, Rochelle. I just want to just reiterate the emails for them are on the deck. What we'll do is a great starting point with this would be to reach out to Tony directly or reach out to Rochelle or at partner@concertocloud.com, and we'll happily take any additional questions. But yes, that's definitely someone asked about their emails. We'll definitely take any questions. You know, it's a great starting point to be able to start the conversation, and there's no strings attached. It's just simply a conversation to help you move forward. So on that note, I just want to thank everybody. That's all the time we have questions for today. On behalf of Rochelle Coleman and Tony Nestler, Concerto Cloud Services, I would like to thank you for attending today's live webcast. We hope to see you on the next live webcast, and more dates and topics. You can visit the website, the KeepCalm website /webcast, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.